Run, referred to on-screen as Run, is a 2020 American psychological horror thriller film directed by Anish Shiganti and written by Shiganti and Sevahanian. The film stars Kiera Ellen as Chloe Sherman, a disabled homeschooled teenager who begins to suspect that her mother Diane, Sara Paulson, is keeping a dark secret about her upbringing. Announced in June 2018, with Paulson being cast that October and Allen that December. Principal photography also occurred in that time frame, with filming primarily taking place on location in Winnipeg, Manitoba. The film has connections to other films by Shiganti and Ahanian, including Missing, 2023. Run was released in the United States via streaming on November 20, 2020 on Hulu, and was released in other territories both theatrically and through streaming by Lionsgate International and by Netflix on April 2, 2021. The film received generally positive reviews from critics and became Hulu's most successful original film upon its release. Sara Paulson as Diane Sherman. Kiera Ellen as Chloe Sherman. Pat Healy as Mailman Tom. Sara Sohn as Nurse Kami. Sharon Beyer as Kathy Bates, and homage to the actress of the same name. Tony Revolori as Brooklyn Boy, voice. Diane Sherman gives birth prematurely to a daughter, whom she goes to see lying in an incubator, surrounded by hospital staff. 17 years later, Diane lives a quiet life with her now teenage daughter, Chloe. Due to the circumstances of her birth, Chloe suffers from arrhythmia, hemochromatosis, asthma, and diabetes, as well as partial paralysis. She uses a wheelchair, takes multiple medications daily, and is homeschooled by her mother. One morning, while looking through a bag of groceries for chocolate, Chloe finds a prescription bottle of green pills with Diane's name on the label. However, when Chloe later inspects the bottle, she finds a label bearing her name has been pasted over the original. Chloe tries to look up the name of the pills, Trigoxin, but discovers the house has no internet connection. Diane is seen sitting in the dark behind her next to an unplugged router. The next day, Chloe dials a random number from her mother's bedroom phone and asks the answering stranger to look up the drug. He tells her it is a heart medication and that all pictures of the medication show a small red pill. Chloe asks Diane to take her to the movies. During the film, while pretending to go to the bathroom, she rushes to the pharmacy across the street. The pharmacist reveals the green pills are a relaxant called Ridocaine, which is only approved for dogs. When Chloe asks what would happen if a human took the medication, the pharmacist informs her that it could numb one's legs. Upon realizing her mother may be administering medication to her to impair her ability to walk, Chloe begins to hyperventilate. Diane runs in and secretly sedates her daughter to take her home. Chloe wakes up in bed and finds her bedroom door locked while Diane is out running an errand. Realizing that she has the house to herself, Chloe breaks out of her room by dragging herself onto the roof, eventually making her way to her mother's bedroom and breaking the window with a soldering iron and some water. She begins to have an asthma attack and only barely manages to crawl to her room and retrieve her inhaler. She tries to use her automated wheelchair ramp to go downstairs, but finds that Diane has cut the power cord. Chloe is forced to throw her wheelchair down the stairs and accidentally falls, sustaining minor injuries, but also discovering that she can move one of her toes due to having not taken the Ridocaine in a few days. Outside down the road, Chloe sees a mail truck and rushes to stop it. She explains her situation to Tom, the postal worker, who agrees to help. Diane pulls up and Chloe asks him to contact the police. Tom confronts Diane and tells her she can't take Chloe home. When closing up the van to take Chloe to the police station, Diane appears and stabs him with a sedative syringe. Chloe blacks out, and when she awakes, she is in the basement of her house, with her wheelchair chained to a steel pole. While in the basement, Chloe discovers all of her childhood photos, which show her walking, as well as a death certificate for a girl named Chloe who died 2 hours after her birth and an article about a couple who had their baby stolen from the same hospital. When Diane enters, Chloe accuses her of deliberately making her sick and demands the truth. Diane insists everything she ever did was to help and protect Chloe, and when Chloe accuses Diane of poisoning her, Diane exclaims that she saved her, while filling a syringe with paint thinner, saying it will make her forget. Chloe crawls away and locks herself in a closet. Afraid but realizing that Diane won't let her die, Chloe swallows the contents of a bottle of organophosphate, forcing Diane to rush her to a hospital. Chloe wakes up in a hospital bed, intubated and barely able to move. Diane insists that her daughter be discharged, but the doctors refuse until Chloe has been evaluated by a mental health professional. Chloe signals to a nurse who brings her a crayon and paper. While Chloe is attempting to write MOM on the paper, a code blue is called and the nurse rushes out. Diane then sneaks in and ties Chloe to a wheelchair to escape. The nurse finds the bed empty and alerts hospital security. As a panicking Diane tries to find an exit, Chloe is able to move her foot and hold the chair in place. Diane begs her to come home with her, but Chloe defiantly replies that she doesn't need her any longer. Diane is shot in the arm by security guards, causing her to fall down the stairs. 7 years later, an adult Chloe goes to a correctional facility. Although she still relies on her wheelchair, she is now able to walk short distances with the use of a cane. She visits Diane in the infirmary ward, who is now confined to a bed, and begins talking about her wonderful husband, children, and job. She speaks about her children's preference and grandparents, suggesting that Chloe reunited with her birth family. Chloe takes out 3 plastic-wrapped Lidocaine pills she hid under her tongue, and tells Diane that she still loves her before asking her to open her mouth wide. Following its debut weekend, Hulu reported that Run was the most watched original film in the platform's history, as well as the most talked about on Twitter. On review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 88% based on 139 reviews, with an average rating of July 1, 10. The site's critics' consensus reads, "Solid acting and expertly ratcheted tension help Run transcend its familiar trappings to deliver a delightfully suspenseful thriller." On Metacritic, it has a weighted average score of 67 out of 100, based on 20 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. Jessica Gomez of AllHorror.com wrote, "If you're like me and you were captivated by the story of Gypsy Rose and her mother Dee Blanchard, then I've got a psychological thriller with your name on it." Ryan Latanzio of IndieWire gave the film a C+ and said, "There's enough go-for-broke and whiplash-inducing shifts in tone on display to suggest this filmmaking duo has a future, even when their characters don't seem to have a past." Rahul Desai of Film Companion wrote, "The film doubles up as an allegory and indictment of modern parenting, the control disguised as caregiving, the lack of identity, the incessant smothering, the manipulation, and the blurred line between selflessness and selfishness." Run was originally scheduled to be theatrically released on May 8, 2020, coinciding with Mother's Day weekend, 14, although as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, its release was delayed indefinitely. Lionsgate intended to announce a new release date once there is more clarity on when movie theaters will reopen. In August 2020, however, with the pandemic's continued influence on the film industry, Hulu acquired American distribution rights to the film, and it debuted exclusively through them via streaming on November 20, 2020. The movie was released in other continents under Lionsgate International banner. Netflix later acquired international streaming rights and released the film on April 2, 2021.